What's going on, guys? Welcome to, the rebranding, formerly known as CrossWit, and today we are simply the Rogue Way. So we're going to change some things. We had to change our name. Don't really want to get into that, but too much, except for the fact that you can check out, I did a little podcast last night whenever this came up. I'm not even recording. Let me do this real quick. How do I go back? So anyway, as soon as I get back to my recording app, where am I at here? Sorry guys, bear with me for just a minute. Okay. Yeah, we're going now. Alright, so welcome to the episode 2. The first couple recordings that we did on the audio format only were just kind of an introduction. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on. So just to kind of give you a heads up, the name and probably the personality of the podcast is changing. And the CrossWit thing was my idea. It was my brainchild. I thought it was kind of a good play on the CrossFit, and the original idea was to do a podcast in a gym environment, which we will still be doing this one in our gym environment too, where you guys seen some of the original episodes. And the part of the gym that we did it in is kind of a CrossFit type of area, so bringing people into there, doing a podcast from that set, from that deal, and having different people come in and talk about intellectual issues and things like that. I kind of got the idea, let's call it CrossWit, but I still think it's a kind of a catchy name, but apparently somebody else did too. So long story short, we changed. But more importantly though, I like it. And the reason why I like it is, the half glass full. The reason why I like it is because the Rogue Way title, it really it resonates more with me and what I had in mind for this show. It's great to try to do a talk show to where you bring people on and everyone, is talking. And we still will do that. I mean, that's still going to be a core aspect of what we do, but it's not going to be solely what I do. The problem with CrossWit was when I didn't have someone on the show, I was struggling to find what I was going to talk about. It's difficult to bounce opinions off of people when you're the only one on the show. So while that's still going to be a part of it, we still invite people of different political ideologies, beliefs, whatever, to come on and have a drink with us and let's talk and laugh and have a good time. The big thing about this podcast is, my part of the show is going to be, I'm going to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And I don't have this blanket over me that I feel like I've got to be Mr. Nice Guy. Because look, I'm not a nice guy. I mean, I am, but I'm also kind of a dick. And that comes from a long life of being independent and being able to express my opinions and what I believe. And, it's just, hey, I'm a Marine. It kind of goes with the territory. So this show is about taking us on a journey. And the journey is realizing that sometimes everything that we have been taught isn't correct. I grew up, my adult life in the Marine Corps and doing other things that I've done has been based around teamwork. And I thought that teamwork was pretty much the only way to live. It was the only way to get things done. And as I came through life, as I left the Marine Corps and left these team environments where that is absolutely the most important thing. In the military, as a contractor, and there are all kind of industries and things that thrive on teamwork, and nothing else will work. Individuality is not something that that flourishes in these environments and in these worlds. So for veterans, or people who are, I guess you could say, indoctrinated into that type of culture, whether it's sports or whether it's the military or whatever, and you leave that, then there's a culture shock that comes along with that. And it's not just that, you're leaving your friends. It's that there's a lot of things that happens. When you leave a team-orientated world and you go into a dog-eat-dog world, which is what the world is, then there is a horrible time. There's of adjustment, and different people experience this different ways. But for veterans, for retirees of sports, or law enforcement or whatever, where they may have been, in a world where teamwork was very important and camaraderie was there, then it's tough when you get out here and you realize that no one really gives two shits about you outside of that world. When I got out of the Marine Corps, when I stopped contracting and I came home, in my head, I thought that that's what friendship was out here. That type of friendship I had was what friendship was out here. And it's not. The friendship that you experience in those worlds really does not exist out here. And if it does, it's very, very hard to find. And if you have the same camaraderie in the friends out in this world that you did in the military or in your team environment, you're in that world, then you're lucky, and you should definitely hang on to that. And I took for granted that that's the way it would be. You find a group of guys, and that's what you're going to experience. And I didn't see it, So I came out of the Marine Corps, and I had I had a couple of friends, and that was it. And we were very tight. We're very close. It's one of those deals to where we've been friends for a long time. But as far as the associations that I developed with other people, I didn't find that there. And that was a tough part of that failure to fit in, of that of the number of things that's kind of wrong with you whenever you're trying to adjust, is trying to find that same camaraderie. And after a few years of dabbling here and there in civilian world, I went and became a police officer, and I thought, okay, well, this is where I'm going to find it. I'm going to find that same camaraderie, because that's what I heard from the other police officers, that this is a brotherhood, and you always see, my God, if the thin blue line and blue lines everywhere, and the brotherhood, and you hear a lot of people talk about it. And I remember hearing a lot of people talk about this, especially from police officers and police officers' families, and they're going to get mad at me right now probably, because they don't understand the marginal difference between what I experienced and what combat veterans experience, the level of camaraderie, the level of brotherhood, and then you come out and you see it out here. You see people claiming it, and it's not anywhere close to what you've seen. It doesn't even register to you that that's the same thing. And when you look at them, you say, that's brotherhood, really? All this backstabbing, all this talking about each other's back, behind each other's backs, trying to step on each other for promotions, trying to get the CID position, trying to get this narcotics position, this political aspect of getting on entry teams and all. This is the brotherhood you're talking. It's not the brotherhood I experienced, so I'm not really sure what y'all are talking about. But it's not there. Yes, we have each other's backs. Yes, in the sense, when we're working, you're going to back each other up and all this. But there is a dimension. There's a multiple level. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but there's so many more levels to it where we come from than what we see, or what we see out here. And this is obviously not in all agencies. I understand that That's, you know, if you're a police officer, you know, you may come from an agency and you guys are real tight. I'm in one right now that we're much closer than you know, my original workplace. But when I came into it and I heard the talk about camaraderie and brotherhood, I just assumed it was the same thing, and it wasn't. So I didn't experience that at all. And this is when you start to get frustrated, because when guys who are very team orientated go to an environment that claims to be team orientated but isn't, then you start seeing people get ahead and you're not getting ahead, and you're wondering, well, I'm a team player, why am I not, you know, why am I not getting there? Why am I not doing this? Why are they always getting it? And then, you know, you start to get bitter, because the truth is that they're individuals. And they are just doing their thing as an individual. And the more they put, you know, their goals in front of them and they achieve them individually, the more you get resentful towards them, because you don't understand that mentality. You're trying to include everybody into what you're doing, and you're falling behind, and you're not accomplishing anything. And you're, you know, the guys that you're trying to include are starting to, they don't even like you, and you're not fitting in, and you just don't understand how this isn't resonating, how this isn't transferring, how, you know, the way you were is not working out here. And you don't even recognize what's going on. The truth is that you come from a pack of wolves, and now you are, you know, amongst, you know, individual, you know, basically, I guess you could say big cat, you know, the big cats, which are not outside of lions, you know, the cougar and the tiger and, you know, the cats, they do not operate in teams. They operate individually. So it gets pretty annoying. It's pretty aggravating when teamwork doesn't seem to be working. And it took me years to understand what was going on. It took, actually, this will be 2019 here in a couple weeks. And I started in law enforcement in 2013, and I thought it was going to be a team, a brotherhood like what I had experienced, and it's not. There are places where it's better than others. I enjoy the agency I'm at right now. I think we have a much closer friendship than the one I experienced before. There's nothing wrong with that agency. It's a great agency. I appreciated my time there. But, you know, it's different. And again, I expected it to be something it wasn't. And the truth is that it's different because it's not a team. Okay? It is a group of people that watch each other's back when they're on duty, yes. Okay, but that is not the type of team I'm talking about. The guys who come from similar backgrounds that I'm talking about, you know, you come from worlds where you work together, you hang out together, you party together, your families hang out together. I mean, it's a very tight world. It's a very tight world. And yes, there are law enforcement agencies out there, but I'm just saying, for you guys that may be not experiencing that, that's common too. That you know, that you're just in a world that doesn't exist. So what do you do? I think the first thing you got to realize is you got to recognize your environment. The hardest thing that I ever did was realize that I'm not a team player anymore. Okay? That I'm not a team player because there's no team around me to essentially be a team player with. That, yeah, we may come together and do something, and during that moment have each other's backs and be tight during that operation or whatever. But when that operation's over with, when we leave each other, everyone goes their own way, and it's everyone's out for their own interests. And that was tough for me because I wanted to come home and I wanted to, you know, to roll that over into, you know, all of the parts of my life. I wanted to experience that, but it's not. It just wasn't there. It's not there. So there comes a point to where I started getting pissed off. And it wasn't that I wasn't getting pissed off just because it wasn't that camaraderie wasn't there. I started getting pissed off when I realized that constantly there was backstabbing. There was people stepping on top of each other. Everyone just, there was so much, I guess you could say the wrong application of ego. Ego gets a bad rap. When you are in an alpha male society or when you're in a competitive society, everyone's got an ego. The difference is that competitiveness is out there, and you are pushing against everybody all the time, trying to compete with everyone, making everyone a better person, making yourself better, because there is an absolute transparency to the ego. In the military community, there's a transparency to the ego. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to be the best today, and I'm going to run right over you. And the other person's like, okay, bring it, let's do it. And when that's in the open and everyone's competing in that manner, then, it truly is friendly competition. But in a world where people aren't used to being that up front, people aren't used to looking at someone in the eye and saying, I'm going to destroy you in today's competition. I'm going to walk right over you. And that's a challenge for you to do the same to me. In a world that's not used to that type of forwardness, then the actions are done behind your back. And when they're done behind your back, people are going to talk about each other behind their backs. And when they do that, there's nothing that good ever happens from that. Nothing good ever happens from that. You will literally see people who are completely different when you are alone with them than they are when they're alone with other people, or when they're other people. And it's not that they mean to be two-faced. It's just that they don't understand. They don't even realize it. You guys hear my dogs barking out there. So this podcast, basically I'm 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes in this podcast, and it seems like I've been rambling. But what is the Rogue Way? The Rogue Way is simply whenever I realized, and I thought about this even before this come up and I needed to do a name change. I thought about this, and I would have never done this had, it not been necessary, and I'm glad it was. But the Rogue Way is the realization that though I was a team player, though I wasn't, I had camaraderie and I wasn't a team, that in order for me, that's not the case anymore. And I have to make a choice, and that choice is this. In order for teamwork to exist in this world, I have to betray everything that I have become in my life, that I was taught by the same group that taught me teamwork. So what I mean by that is, the Marine Corps taught me teamwork under in a certain context. That context doesn't exist out here. And since that context does not exist out here, then I betray all my lessons if I water them down or if I adapt them to whatever this is. Because this is an individual environment. This is, it pays to be a winner. This is, you go out there and you don't worry about the guys next to you outside of safety and, watching each other's backs. But you don't consider them when it comes to your career. You don't consider them when it comes to the next move. You don't consider them. And that sounds horrible. But here's the deal, man. If you don't understand that and you don't get on board with that, then you are always going to be at the bottom. And this is where I come to a crossroad. I don't care about being at the top. So whenever I noticed this happening, then my mentality was, well, I just won't do anything, and everybody just leave me alone, just let me be, because I don't want to be in that cutthroat world. I don't want to, I want to support people. I want everyone to work as a team, and I want to do what I'm used to, and I'm a supporter by trade. That's what I came from. That's what I was brought up doing, was supporting, and that's where I wanted to be. But if I can't support people, if I'm going to give someone information and then I find out that they're not returning the favor, that they're hiding stuff from me. If I'm going to exclude people and stuff, and I find out or include people and stuff, and I find out they're excluding me, then I'm just going to I don't have to deal with that type of betrayal. I don't have to get upset. I can just withdraw and just be my own whatever I am. So initially, that's where I was at. I'll do the bare minimum, and I'll stay out of everybody's way, and nobody will mess with me. And then if they do mess with me, then I'll have an excuse to knock them the fuck out, because I had nothing to do with their competition, with their drama, whatever. I'm just an outsider, and I'll just go back to what I know best, which is fighting. And I'll just, if you're gonna start shit, I'll come up to you and I'll knock your freaking teeth out. And that'll be that. It'll just go back to that world. And what I found out was that's pretty much where you're going to end up, because you can withdraw, you can step out, you can bow out of the drama, but the drama will not bow away from you. You can say, you know what, guys, you guys are talking shit about each other all the time. None of you trust each other. Maybe you trust each other with your lies, but you don't trust each other with your reputations, or with your, with your conversations, or with your, you really don't trust each other, and to say, well, yeah, but I got your back, that's such a cop-out. There's not very many people out there on the street I wouldn't have their back if they needed me. That goes for strangers. We're in the world of protecting and serving. I've got complete strangers' backs. I'm going to go out and protect people, because that's what I do. So you saying that you're going to protect me physically from harm out there on the street doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Screw that, okay? And screw you. I would almost rather you just leave me alone and let me be. I don't even want your help, because it's hypocritical. Saying that, well, I got your back. We may not get along, we may have differences, but I got your back on the street. So freaking what, dude? There's a lot of people that have my back on the street that don't do what I do for a living and don't even freaking know me. Okay, there's still a lot of good people out there that are going to have my back just because that's the right thing to do. It may not be as common as it used to be, but it's still out there. It's not exactly a testimony of your integrity or your loyalty. It's none of that. It's just you basically saying, screw you, but I'm not going to be a total asshole. I'll just tell you I got your back. I don't want you to have my back. Just leave me the fuck alone. So you get to that point to where you're just, man, I don't need this shit and I don't need anyone else. So I'll just do it. I'll just do what I do. And then if you try that for a while and you realize that nothing really has changed, that people are still going to be people, and that you hear this stuff and that people are still, trying to come at you and provoke you, and it's crazy that this still goes on. Then you decide, you know what? I'm on my own, but there's no reason why I should be on my own, accepting defeat just to stay on my own. Why don't I go out there and if these guys, if I'm going to be in competition, if I'm going to whatever, why don't I just go out there and do my own thing and just be an individual? Why don't I just go rogue? If I'm out there and I'm doing stuff for the right reason, I'm still helping people, I'm still doing my job, why do I feel obligated to be part of a team? Why do I feel obligated to be part of a team? And that essentially is what we're talking about. Teamwork has a place, and this is one of the hardest things for me to, especially coming from my background, to ever wrap my head around. But there are some places in the world, there are some times in our lives, there are places in our lives where we do not need to be part of a team. Sometimes teams are bad. And oh my God, I just said that. That may be heresy in culture today. I know we're taught teamwork, 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 but there is a place where teamwork can be bad, okay? A lot of bad shit's done with groups. There's a lot of bad things that are done in teams. There's a lot of mentality. People commit crimes. People do awful things when they're in packs, when they're in groups, that they wouldn't do individually. So not everything with a group is good, okay? Not everything there's a lot of bad shit out there that has to do with groups. And we're taught, coming from military background, that almost everything individual is bad, almost everything that's done with a team is good. But that's not the case. That is not the case. Sometimes you need to say, fuck the team, and you need to figure out who you are, and you need to be that. You need to walk that and show some individuality. Show some free thought. Be an example. And that example doesn't necessarily mean you're ever going to have anybody with you. There are plenty of examples in philosophy and in religion and Christianity, and things where we are told that you're going to be alone. If you stand up for certain things, if you do certain things, you can expect to be alone. And there is something very liberating about no one having power over you. There is something liberating about realizing, you know what, I have decided yesterday or this day or right now that I don't need anyone outside of my family. I have a wife, I have children, I have people that I include as part of me that I do not, when I say that I'm rogue or I'm going rogue, that it doesn't mean I'm going to be completely alone. But the people that I have committed the most to are there. I don't need anyone else. And there's something liberating about saying, screw everyone else. I'm going to take care of myself and my family, and I don't give two shits whether people like me or like it or whatever. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to stress a bunch of bullshit or anyone else. And you will immediately be hated for that even more than you were hated. But here's the deal. You were hated already. I started watching a lot of podcasts and things. And, I noticed that in today's culture with leadership and things like that, everything is about Navy SEALs. You got all this public speaking that's being done by prominent SEALs and leadership stuff about teamwork and all these podcasts and things, and a lot of stuff about Navy SEALs. But what I've started seeing seeping as the SEAL community becomes more steps out of the shadows and more into the public life, then you're starting to see some of the stuff that you didn't hear about. You're starting to see some of the SEALs come out and say, hey, we pretty much, SEALs hate each other. We're brothers, but, we have drama. And if you come out and you write a book or you go in public, that we eat our own. And you're starting to see that. And then you're starting to hear stories about all the drama that was going on in teams. And I've noticed this. I've noticed that there are more and more quote-unquote team guys that are coming out and starting to be a little more candid about the actual relationships that they had in those type of units. And I'm not trying to say that that it was a bad time for them, that they weren't tight, but I'm just saying people are human, and in these type of worlds, drama will, ascend. And there's a couple, former SEALs and things like that had flat out said that they, one, I'm not going to throw his name out because I don't know if he'd want me to, but I don't know the dude, but, I was watching Joe Rogan, and, this one guy said flat out, he said, I was a team guy, but I wasn't in the brotherhood. And he goes into a lot of detail talking about the same stuff that I'm talking about right now. And that is, people hate individuals, especially, in these type of worlds. And why is that? They'll tell you that the reason is because, being an individual will, get people killed and all this other kind of crap. And that's not true. The reason why most people hate non-team players or individuals is because they think for themselves. They think for themselves. They don't just basically subscribe to the team mentality, to the shared brainwaves or shared thoughts. They think, they look at the situation and they think for themselves. Now that can be bad, but it also can be good. You should be thinking for yourself. You should be working through problems on your own. You should be evaluating what people do and how. This is how we prevent good people and organizations from going bad. This is how we prevent that. It's by individuals. People will tell you that individuals, don't make a difference. It has to be a team. Look, individuals, an individual, you can't change the world. You need One person can't change the world. One person can change the world. One person almost always changes the world. Okay? One person can write a book that changes the world. One person can write a song. One person can be an example, can step up, can give a speech, can start building something, can lead by example. One person, individuals change the world all the time. All right? They change the world all the time. We know their names. You can look through history and you can see the individuals that changed the world. Now, were they by themselves? A lot of times they were not. But they were the ones that went out and did it and started it or whatever. They were it. There's nothing wrong with being an individual. You can be rogue. You can step away from the pack. You can walk away and say, I'm going to be myself. And there's plenty of examples. Look, you're going to get crucified when you do this. You're going to be stoned to death. Yes, these vets and these people who are coming out and saying, like, when I started taking care of myself, when I started doing something for my own life, then my old world just devoured me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. If you think for yourself, if you step out of that line, if you step out of that rank and file, and it doesn't have to be on every issue. It can just be on one thing. What's the girl's name that from the Blaze? The blonde, the 24-year-old blonde girl. I don't want to mess her name up. Let me look it up real quick. Let's see. Is it Tomi? Is it Tomi? Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, this girl was a rock star on, CRTV, conservative, the conservative world. She was the rock star. I don't know how to say her name, but it is Tomi. Was it Lauren? Lahren. Obviously, I didn't watch her. I mean, I saw her in clips and stuff like that, and I thought she was cool. I dug it. I love the fact that she said the things she said. She wasn't afraid for it. She stepped out there and she basically put everything out there. Completely unapologetic for her views, and I dug it. But then she went on a television show called The View, which is a very liberal show. Everyone knows that. Okay, and she's a super conservative. I mean, my God, she was one of the biggest, if not the biggest name on Glenn Beck's show, The Blaze. And she goes on The View. And this is someone, this is a conservative. It's not Candace Cameron or whatever Candace's name, which, conservative Christian lady, but, basically was a punching bag on The View. This is someone who can hold her on. This is someone who, Joy and Whoopi aren't going to just take random shots out, because she will fire back and knock them out. But she goes on The View and she let her consistency slip. Now, I will say I don't agree with her position at all, okay? I saw the clip. I saw what she said. I don't agree with it, but I do respect it. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, she went on The View, and they were talking about some conservative issues, and abortion was brought up, and she just flat out said that she was pro-choice. And you could see the look, you could see the surprise, the shock that was on what am I trying to say? All the ladies on The View, they were just shocked that she said that. And when she clarified it, her explanation was basically that, hey, I'm a constitutionalist. This is her, not me. I'm a constitutionalist, and I would be hypocritical if I wanted the government out of some areas of my life, but not out of my body. So basically what she said, and she actually did say that, she said, keep the government out of my guns and keep the government out of my body. That was, if that wasn't the quote, that's pretty damn close. And So she said that. She said she was pro-choice because she's basically a libertarian. She wants the government out of everything, you know. And I guess she's 26. So I'm not even sure when this happened. I thought she said she was 24. Let me see when that happened. I just saw it the other day. I don't keep up with her, so maybe it's old news. Maybe it happened a while back. So I'm just looking up the article when she when this happened. And it made the New York Times. You know, like everyone, like most people, I saw it on YouTube, so I didn't even really see when the incident actually occurred. Okay, it happened last year. Wow, April 7th. That'd be a year ago. Apparently, this article is... Okay, so I apologize. This is old news. Shows you how much I keep up with the Blaze or CRTV or any of that stuff. Okay, so she was 24 at the time. So I don't even know what happened to her. I gotta read the article, I guess. But it doesn't even matter. The point is that you know, she stood up for her views. Her quote was, "So stay out of my guns and you can stay out of my body as well." That's what she said. So while I disagree with her, you know, her position on abortion and how it relates to, you know, being a constitutionalist, the fact of the matter is when she spoke her mind, the network that's supposed to be the champion for freedom of speech and, you know, whatever, just basically, you know, suspended her. I wonder, did she get her job back? I don't want to go off on this, but I just want to know. Yeah, so I guess she did get her job back. Pulled up an article right here, and it says that she's back, and it's from May 22nd, 2017. Okay, so this is like, I mean, this was over a year ago, you know. But this is an interesting story on that. Now, going back to what I'm talking about, the fact of the matter is, and that is typical, when you speak your mind, when you are an individual, and people don't have control over you, they will, the first thing they're going to do is they'll try to reel you back in. So when someone feels like, who needs control of you, feels like that they're losing control of you, they'll try to reel you back in. They'll make contact with you, they'll include you in a couple things, they'll try to, you know, they know. But that's usually short-lived. So you can participate, you can, you know, be willing to be friendly and all that, but regardless, when they get comfortable again, or when they just feel like they're not going to get you, then they're going to change their course of action. If if they make contact with you and they're reassured that everything's okay, and maybe they don't feel like their position of influence or control is threatened, then they'll simply just get comfortable and go back to the way things were. You won't be any more important than you were originally. They just don't want to lose you as an asset or whatever you are to them. If they feel like they're going to lose control of you, they are losing control, then something else happens. They'll usually start attacking you. Okay, they'll usually start attacking you. And this is weird because a lot of times this happens even if they don't want you in their group. So it's like a no-win situation, man. I'll give you an example. You're part of a group. You feel like, you know what, this isn't me. I'm going to step away. I'm going to do my own thing. The group will try to reel you back in. The group leader will try to probably reel you back in. If they feel like they've done that, then things will go right back to the way they were and nothing will change. If they feel like they're losing you, then they'll start attacking you, okay? Because that will hurt ego. It'll You know, people lose power, they get whatever, they'll start attacking you. If they didn't want you in a group to begin with, they'll still attack you. And why is that? Because nobody wants the defector to have any credibility. If you leave the group, the last thing the group wants is for you to have any credibility. This is typical with like the Trump administration. You defect away from the Trump administration, and what does he do almost immediately? He starts attacking. And now I'm probably getting attacked for, you know, talking trash about Trump. But come on, man. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The guy's got some issues. Now, I'm not saying I don't support him as our president, but I'm just saying, you know, I call a spade a spade. And this is typical that whenever, you know, people, you know, whenever someone thinks for themselves or does something for themselves, then whoever had control over them will typically attack them. So, you know, am I going to get attacked for saying everything I'm saying right here? Probably. Some things will be said about me. Some of it will be probably true. Most of it probably won't be true, or at least it'll be out of context or spun a certain way. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Because none of those people that would say anything about me for saying this is going to say it to my face. They're not going to come up to me and say, hey, you know, whatever, because they're afraid that I'm going to knock them the fuck out. They'll say it behind my back. They'll talk a lot of shit behind my back. They'll say things, whatever, to other people. Those people will come and tell me, you know, hey, so-and-so said this. But, you know, don't be fooled by those people. They're just as much snakes as the person they heard it from. You know, if they weren't, then that person would have been so damn comfortable telling them. So when the point I'm making is that going rogue, living the rogue way, it's not about completely separating yourself from everything. It's about regaining your independence as a man, as an individual. Regain your independence. Get to the point where you do not need anyone else outside of your family, okay? I don't succumb to the world that says don't need your husband or don't need your wife. No, need your husband, need your wife, need your kids. Don't allow your individuality to abandon those who have committed their lives to you, okay? Reclaim that as part of your individuality. Reclaim your marriage or your relationship as part of your individuality. But outside of that, outside of your family, and this includes those who you have left to start your family. This includes your parents. This includes your cousins, your brothers, everyone. Understand what you need and what you don't. And it's okay to be part of groups, but do not let the groups control you. Do not let that become who you are. You are not the group. You are you. And that's who you should be. And if you take that and you strive to become a better person, then people will follow you. But you don't, I mean, if they don't, they don't. And I've been going for, let's see, okay. So I got about 15 minutes on this hour. And I don't want to go all the way to the hour, but I will say this, and I said this in the intro. This podcast is also about embracing our differences. And in the world we live in right now, we always hear about racism, and the left always wants to attack the right and say they're racist. But I'm going to tell you both sides, the extreme of both sides are racist. It's a different type of racism, or it's a different focus. The racism on the right, and I've said it before, is an original hatred of people that are different. But the racism on the left, the bigotry on the left, is just a hatred of differences, period. It's wanting everyone to be the same, to basically just mold into this one thing that has no differences. It wants everyone to just become this, like, just kind of assimilate into, like, the same. No gender, no religion, no everything. It just wants everyone to just kind of assimilate into something to where there are no differences. Both of those are bigotry, and they both lead to the same direction, which is suffering. They do. Okay, so the left has its evil and the right has its evil, and you have to be careful to stay away from that. True humanity is about embracing our differences. It's about saying, yes, he's black. I can say that. He's a black dude. Okay, I'm a white guy. I'm a white dude. Okay, and I appreciate his him having a different race. I appreciate that. I don't want to be in a world where everyone is like me. I want to have friends who are different. And I'm okay by saying that. Okay? It's being able to look at someone and say, yes, she is a she. That is a woman. Okay? Biologically, it's a woman. And I'm okay. And that's what we need to celebrate, is being different. Instead of people telling us, that there is no gender, or that, it's crazy, the world we're living in. Look, I support your right to do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. And I will respect you the same. But you do not have a right to tell me how I need to act, or, what words I can use, how I should look and refer to people in spite of facts and things like that. Okay? I embrace differences. I do not succumb to the group, the mentality, the political correctness telling me that now you have to stop using these words because they're offensive. You can't refer to gender anymore, unless we want you to refer to an opposite, to a gender that isn't biologically accurate or whatever. I embrace differences, so don't tell me that me embracing differences and celebrating differences is racist. It's not. Okay, it's the complete opposite. I embrace differences in everything. In religion, I embrace differences. In political views, I embrace differences. Okay, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change that, and I'm comfortable with that, which is why I can sit across from people and appreciate their perspective, appreciate their culture, appreciate who they are, and it doesn't have to be like me. And I don't have to minimize that or take that away from them and me, or try to meet in some sterile environment where neither one of us are anything. That is for cowards. Cowards try to tear everything down and try to meet everyone on a sterile environment, so they don't offend. They feel like we'll just make everyone equal. All right, and that is, that's like a giant military, but for the wrong reasons. The military has a purpose in doing what it does, and it does do a lot of good. But there's also another version of that's existing in political and in the political correctness movement, to where we're trying to make everyone the same, and we're trying to eradicate differences, and that's evil as well. God created us differently. If you believe evolution, if you're an atheist or you're whatever, we evolved, we're created, whatever, we exist, and there are differences. And I'm okay with that. I'm rogue as fuck, and I'm going to embrace differences, and I'm not going to succumb to this lie out there that we all have to be the same. It's fucking ridiculous. So I appreciate you guys joining this podcast today. Please go to my Facebook page, which is the new name for our podcast. Today's, like I said, I didn't have a co-host here with me, Derek or Greg, but they'll be with me soon again on this show. And go to our Facebook page, now renamed The Rogue Way. Go to the YouTube. You're watching it on YouTube right now. Please feel free to subscribe. We hope you would subscribe. It helps us out. And the audio version of this is on Podbean. I should be uploading that pretty soon. And so please, Podbean, the app is free. The podcast is free. So check us out there and follow us on our audio format. So I appreciate you guys checking in and hanging out with me this morning. And I hope you guys have a great day. Embrace your differences. Be different. Be rogue. And just don't be afraid to be yourself. Okay? Teamwork is good, but you don't need it for everything in your life. It's okay to be an individual. Break free of the need to fit in. All right? We'll see you guys.